here from writeyourbestbook.com. This playlist includes episodes from our top 10 rated podcasts created for authors by authors called Write Your Best Book. First, if you like the content that we're providing you, just do me a favor and hit that little like button really quickly. It'll help boost our visibility on YouTube and get with as many authors as we possibly can. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because guess what? This is just the second of our podcasts that we've turned into video on YouTube, and there's so much more to come, full of amazing experts and influencers in the author community and their advice to help you write your best book. If you follow me long enough, you've heard me say ad nauseum that you must have a strong email list if you want to attract readers and sell books, right? We're going to devote this entire episode to learning exactly how to build and grow your email list. But Christina, why do I need an email list? I already have social media and a website and a blog. Isn't that overkill? Hell to the no, no, no. Think of it this way. All those hundreds and thousands of contacts you have on social media, if you're lucky, you don't own them. Nope, you don't. You're basically renting them from Mark Zuckerberg and whoever owns the other platforms. They are kind enough to let us borrow their contacts, and nowadays, getting traffic organically is getting harder and harder. It's become more of a pay-to-play atmosphere on social media, hence all the ads they want you to buy and pay for. But if you build and grow your own email list of email subscribers, guess what? You basically own the right to contact them. No one can take them away. If Zuckerberg decided tomorrow that he wanted to pull the plug on all social media accounts he owns, and you were solely relying on them for followers to sell your books, what in the heck would you do? Wouldn't be pretty. Now, do you see how important it is to have that email list? I really hope so. But in case you still need some reassurance on that point, and to help guide us through some really amazing tips on helping you grow and build your email list, I brought on one of my favorite people in the author industry. Her name is Shayla Raquel. An expert editor, best-selling author, and book marketer, Shayla Raquel works one-on-one with authors and business owners every day. A lifelong lover of books, she has edited over 400 books and has launched several Amazon bestsellers for her clients. Her award-winning blog teaches new and established authors how to write, publish, and market their books. I am so excited to share this episode with you guys and Shayla's tribe. I can't wait for you to hear all the awesome information she so kindly shared with me and everyone who's listening. Now, before we dive into the conversation with Shayla, when I was preparing for this episode, I stumbled across 5 fun facts about Shayla on her website. I wish I had time to read them all, you guys. It was so entertaining, but here's one I loved. It says that Shayla's lifelong dream is to own a 2-story private library full of rare and first edition books. How cool is that? I need a fun fact section on my website, I think. Thanks for the idea, Shayla. All right, enough of that. Let's dive into my conversation with Shayla and learn more about her, how she helps authors, and what she thinks about building and growing email lists for authors. Okay, hey Shayla, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Of course, we're really excited. First, start by telling my listeners a bit about you, your journey, and how you serve authors on a daily basis.
Sure. Okay, so like you said, my name is Shayla Raquel, and I'm a few things. I'm an editor, author, self-publishing mentor, marketer, speaker, blogger, dog mom. That part's the most important. But honestly, I'm kind of an all of the abover. If it has anything to do with the book world, there's a chance my hands are in it. And a lot of it is because that was my dream. And I wanted to become a writer more than anything. I even wrote a pretty long article on LinkedIn earlier this year that I just kind of called, what is it called when you have a superhero? The origin story. I called it my origin story. of how I got into writing. And it basically all started at age 16. My mother disagrees and says that I knew I wanted to be a writer at age 8, but that's a talk for another time. So I decided I wanted to be a writer at age 16 and started college and like a month before I turned 18. So I was 17 when I started college for writing and advertising, and eventually by the time I turned by a month before I turned 21, I started in the publishing industry, and by 2013 I started my own company as an editor and writer. In fact, I just celebrated 7 years of owning my own company on Monday, so that was pretty cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And today, I mean, it's just really, really evolved. Like I said, I do all sorts of everything, and it's a blast for me. Even on the hard days, I'd still rather do this than any other job.
Mm-hmm.
So I love getting to work with authors. That was a lot of why I started my own business, is because in the publishing industry I was in, I didn't get to have that one-on-one with them, and I really craved that. So being a business owner and working one-on-one with authors was my jam. Like, that's what I wanted to do so badly. And I think one of the coolest things about this is that these authors usually, like, we wind up becoming really close, and they become friends of mine, and I love that. So that's just kind of my background of how I got into the publishing world.
And so I can relate to so much of that, because I walked away. My listeners and clients and everybody know that I walked away from a 22-year corporate job to do this, to work with authors, because I, like you, there's nothing else I'd rather do. So
right, yeah, I totally agree. I've met plenty of people who have done that. In fact, even had some like really high up there jobs, and they just said like, no more. This is, I got to go back to my dream.
I worked in the legal field for 22 years, and I had enough. I was like, I just want to work with authors. Can I just?
Well, I'm glad you decided to do this.
Yes. Well, thank you. Okay, so as you know, today we're talking about email lists. I always tell my clients, whether I'm right or wrong, but it's crucial to have a solid email list and to nurture it regularly, because we don't own the contacts that we have on social media. Mark Zuckerberg does.
Right.
And they could disappear at any time. Let's talk a bit more about why it's crucial for authors to have an email list to even begin with.
Sure. I mean, you honestly took the words right out of my mouth. This is your turf. If you have their email address and you're doing an email newsletter, that's your turf. Okay. Even if you're using a third party to keep things legal due to the Canned Spam Act, it's still your turf. How many times have we seen Twitter and Facebook and Instagram get completely shut down? Many times it has happened.
You get put in jail.
Yes, or Facebook jail. Long-term prisoner. So, I mean, we need to have these people in a place where we can reach them no matter what. And I'm always going to push email newsletters. I'm always going to push them, at least up to this point, because I see how crucial they are. The thing is, you have to do it the right way, because I will unsubscribe real quick if you're going against the things that I believe make a newsletter valuable and worthy. We can get into all that, but if you're driving me just totally nuts, yeah, of course I'm going to unsubscribe. So if you're doing an email newsletter, there's a whole lot that goes into that in terms of why someone would stay on that list in the first place, or to begin with, why they would even give you their coveted email address at all. So yeah, you have to have that. You have to. And I also think that once you have somebody on your email list, that's a lot different than somebody clicking the like button on a photo or the like button on your Facebook page. This is somebody who's more invested into what you are doing and what you are writing. You've taken a much bigger leap from somebody who just happens upon your photo on social media, as opposed to somebody who like sees the opt-in, and puts in their first and last name if necessary, or just their email address. They go through the whole spiel of confirming and opening that automated newsletter. That's a pretty devoted thing to do. And so I feel like that person is going to be more apt to want to
proactive on their part. They've actually taken that step.
Yeah, a lot of steps indeed, actually, when you have like a double opt-in.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Well, let's say that I'm a new author and I don't have an email list started yet, or I have 20, 50 subscribers. What are some tips and tricks you could share with us on how to grow our email list beyond 50 or so people?
I love that question, and I saw it in the Q&A, and I was like, I got to really watch my time on this because I know I can get into it seems like, oh, how can she have all these ideas? There are a lot.
Oh,
So
I listen.
first of all, you have to give me a reason to subscribe. I don't know how many times I get on author websites and it'll be like the default WordPress thing where it's like hit the follow button and then you'll get a default boring email every time I publish a blog post that I know you're going to delete every single time. Don't do that. If you do have an email list and it's not this default WordPress thing where you've actually taken the time to set that up, still give me a reason to give you my email address because everybody else wants it. Okay. You have to give me a reason. And that reason is a freebie. There has to be a freebie. A freebie is something that you actually put time and effort into. It's not something that you just slap together one evening and you're like, yeah, that ought to work. It's something that I feel like you're giving away your very, very best thing. And I learned that years ago. Whatever you think your best product is, essentially at that time, give that away for free. And that is usually something that a lot of people will buck at. I think I did it first, and then I realized, you know what? What is like the number one thing for me personally that I know is my best thing? What is my best thing? And I realized at the time it was a paid for, but I realized it was the pre-publishing checklist, a to-do list for indie authors. And I mean, this thing, like I spent tons of time writing this, paying for beautiful formatting. I mean, the cover, I mean, this was like, this was not something I slapped together. And I realized, if I gave that away for free, I just put my credibility up to the top. I am helping people. I'm starting a conversation with, oh, wow, like you can help me with the publishing. What else can you help me with? You're giving away.
That's the thing. What else? This is great. What else have you got?
Right, exactly. If she gives that away for free, like all of that value, yeah, like I'll hire her in a hot minute. So you guys have to figure out, what can I give away for free that's very valuable? I love working with children's book authors because they nail this. When I work with them on their email list, I'll tell them I want you to do coloring pages for free that somebody can print, or I want you to do an activity book that somebody can print, and those get used. I use them. I download that stuff all the time because I have a niece and she loves to color. And if I can get, 5-10 pages of coloring pages for free that I can print right here, that's excellent. I love that. And it's so easy for them to do because you already have the illustrations. You're just telling your illustrator, ixnay the color.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I love that. That's a wonderful freebie if you're a children's author. If you are doing a novel, okay, obviously to me, one of the easiest things is to give away. Now, some people will only give away one chapter. I'll give away read the first chapter of my book. I want you to like push that a little bit more, be a little more generous and say, read the first 3 chapters of my novel. And if you've got a really captivating novel and you end that freebie that says, want to keep reading, grab it here on, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple. Excellent. You just hooked a reader. You gave them something valuable for free. And then hopefully you got a sale. And then if you have a series, I see a lot of people who, if they have like a really good backlist, they'll give that very first book away for free as part of their funnel. I'm totally fine with that. But those are the people who have like a pretty large backlist. They've been writing for a long time. I have a lot of writers who come to me and they say, you don't understand. I don't even have a book. I have nothing to offer right now. And so what I'll usually recommend is, of course, it's dependent on every single author, but let's say that you've got an author who's working really hard on their book. Okay, let's do fiction, for example. They're working really hard on their book and they're just like, but it's not even done. How am I supposed to have a freebie for these people yet? I recommend, because everybody needs to take a break from writing their book now and then, go write a short story. We found through research that like the sweet spot word count of a short story is like around 5,000 to 5,500 words. And essentially a short story is something that you can just sit down and read in one sitting. So I've always recommended, hey, like, do you think that you could get a short story out? Oh,
Good.
you mean something that isn't 80,000 words? I think I could do that over the.
Yeah.
So that's something that's really, really helpful. Another thing that you could do if you're nonfiction, I feel like the nonfiction peeps get like,
Yeah, they do get overlooked, and
they have so many cool options. So if you're doing nonfiction, I don't care if this is business, self-help, I don't care if it's poetry, I don't care what it is. If you're doing nonfiction, you can give away a chapter of your book for free. You know, you can give away, or you could do, I've seen authors do the coolest stuff where like they won't give away an entire chapter, but they'll like go create some cool printable that has to do with their book. Like one of my authors, I can't remember if he officially did this or not, but I actually have it behind me because I loved it so much. But he wrote this book called Uncommon Hope. And in his book, he has a checklist, and it's called a heart check. And it's things that you can go over if you're really struggling. And I thought it was so cool. And I was like, this would be a great email freebie where they could print it. And, you know, I mean, I've even seen authors do like these beautiful printables that you can print in color. That's like a beautiful, amazing, motivational quote. I'm telling you, like freebie. That is gonna be. That's how you get them to subscribe.
Exactly how you do it.
So I know that the other thing, there's a part two to that. Okay, great. I have the reason for them to subscribe, but how do they find me?
Mm-hmm.
Make it as convenient as humanly possible. Put yourself in their shoes. I shouldn't have to scroll around for 8 years to try to find a way to subscribe to your email newsletter. Put that front and center. Make sure that that call to action is very easy for me to find. Make it all about your freebie. Put that everywhere. I don't care. I don't care if it's on social media. I don't care if it's on your website. Put it everywhere. I love to put it at the end of every blog post I publish. Every time I publish a blog post, I get more subscribers because that option is right there at the end. Now, the other thing that you can do to get more subscribers, if you've done all that stuff, you know, you've made sure that it's all over your website, that you have an actual opt-in link available where somebody can click a link and ta-da, here's this beautiful landing page showing off the freebies. If you've done all those things, the other option, it's kind of, you're killing two birds with one stone. You should be marketing yourself and branding yourself all the time anyway. And so if you're doing blog posts, if you're doing podcasts, if you're doing videos, always add that little opt-in link at the end. You know, whatever, read the first 3 chapters of my novel right here, click it. That should be, it should get to the point where it's second nature, where you just instinctively know that nearly everything I do, I need to have that opt-in link. If you look at, like I said, my blog posts, if you look at my social media, all that is always there because I know, like we said at the very beginning, that it is vital. I have to have that. Right. So does that answer your question, or can I dig into anything else?
No, and actually you've given me some, like I hadn't thought about that, about using that call to action at the end of a blog post, or, you know, I do it when I, like for even my business purposes, like at the end of lives and podcasts, I'll say, don't forget my freebie, you know, but I hadn't thought about the blog post.
But are you making it convenient for them? Like you can
Probably not.
Right, but you're not alone in that. So I think now would be, I'm very, very whatever, visually whatever. So I'm sharing screens right now. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so if you go to my most recent blog post, which was a guest blog, and if we scroll all the way down, you're going to see my bio, and you're going to see a call to action. And you'll notice that I don't use any language like subscribe. I used to, but I don't anymore. So I'm telling them what the free thing is. I'm giving them a question like, are you new to the indie author world? That means they have a problem, and I'm giving them a solution. And they click send away. And of course we have our disclaimer.
Legal language.
Yeah, but if you, for our fiction authors, that's different. Give something, give me the tagline to
Mhm.
your novel. Give me something that grips me immediately. And then ooh, that sounds really, really good. Yeah, I want to dig into that and see if that's something I might be interested in reading. And hopefully you've written a great book. And so by the time I'm done with those first 3 chapters, I'm ready to grab it and continue reading.
So let's say that we have, my follow-up question is this. Let's say that we have the opt-in form on our website. We've got our landing page, like you said, everything's lined up. How do we then, what's another way? Is it okay to go on social media and say, should we be doing that too?
Yeah, and that should be now again, you have to give, sell. Too many authors do sell, sell, sell,
I
sell.
always say 80-20, but yes.
Right, exactly. So if you're going to go put it on social media, one of the first things I recommend, if you're on Instagram, which you should be,
Mhm.
I recommend Linktree, and hopefully we can have a link for that here, but it's free.
Oh, yeah.
So Linktree is amazing. On Instagram, you only have one link. That's it.
Mhm.
Prime real estate. And obviously you think, well, I guess I'll just put my website there, but don't you have a bunch of other places you want to send them to? Of course. So for me, I know that one of the most important things I want them to do is go to my opt-in page where it's like solely dedicated to my freebie and my email list. I don't want to tell them, go to my website, scroll down, and on the bottom right hand side, no. I want them to immediately have that available. So by using Linktree, for example, that's right there. And I'll also show you guys an example of that because, again, visual helps. But you said, okay, can I put this on social media? Absolutely. So if we go right here to my Instagram, you can see that I only have one link. All of us do, unless that's a different story. But for now, for those of us who only have those under 10,000. So now when you click it, these are all the options that somebody can click. And for me, the free pre-publishing checklist is very, very important. And you'll notice right here that I say pre-publishing checklist. And I tell them
with the down hand. Yeah.
Yeah, and if they click it, it just takes them right to it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you so much for showing us that.
And it's free.
Yeah.
It's free. Linktree is free. You can pay $6 a month for analytics, but I don't even use that. So you can get that for free. Okay. That link is not just for Instagram. If you want to use that link on Twitter or anywhere else, you totally can. But
we'll pull that link for Linktree and we'll throw that in the show notes. So thanks.
I would, yeah. So that's just one example for Instagram. It originated for Instagram. But if you have Facebook, like a Facebook page, you can actually create a tab solely for your email opt-in, which is really cool. Have you tried that before?
No.
It's really cool. So
I've heard of Linktree, so I can't say I've not heard of it, but I've never gone and actually looked into it.
So like for Facebook, if you have a Facebook author page, which you should, do you see here on the left-hand side, it says pre-publishing checklist?
Yeah.
That's the email opt-in. And there you go.
Well, that's really neat.
Yeah. And so you can do that through settings. That's just another thing that you can do. So what I mean by making it convenient, first and foremost, make sure that that link is everywhere that it could possibly be. Make it very convenient for people. And then when you do want to start getting more subscribers, you can do an actual literal Facebook post, a tweet, a LinkedIn, whatever. But you cannot say, go subscribe to my email newsletter. I don't care. I don't want to do that.
Take all that effort, right? I
don't want to do that. Instead, use the right language and say, give me a genre real quick, Christina. Give me any genre you want.
Cozy mysteries.
Cozy mysteries. Okay. So for me, I would do something like if I were working with an author and we were doing a Facebook post, I would say it's April, and that means lots of April rain showers. Nothing is better than reading a cozy mystery when it's raining outside. If you want to dig into and then do a little tagline, like about whatever that book is about, you can do so right now. and then give them that link and then a nice picture. There's no need to be like, please go to my website and subscribe to my email newsletter.
It sounds desperate and needy.
It does. Give me a reason to subscribe, and then I will do that. So use whatever genre you have, make that work for you. Make it work for you, not against you. You have something that you enjoy writing, so give me a reason to enjoy reading it.
Love it.
So I hope that helps.
It does. It helps them tremendously. And another question I had for you, this one is plain. So one time we used King Sumo recently for a giveaway. I don't know if you're familiar with King
Yes, I am.
Okay. And we got over 600 new subscribers. We were just like, oh my God, we got 600, you know. But I found out very quickly they were not my target audience. They were just people who wanted a free Amazon card or whatever. And soon I started to see them jumping ship and unsubscribing. Is there any way we can build our list full of like more targeted leads, meaning readers who will actually want to hear what we have to say?
Yes. Okay. So first of all, when you have things, it's King Sumo. Is that what they're called now?
Yeah, King Sumo. I'm not saying it doesn't work. We probably used it wrong.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. Okay. So let me explain very, very quickly. When you have things like that, like King Sumo and other big apps and all that, the people who subscribe to those, okay, the ones who subscribe to King Sumo are the ones who are looking for a big, fat bargain, or they're looking for free stuff anyway, right? That's their jam. That's what they want. Mm-hmm. Once they get whatever free thing they came for, bye-bye. They're gone. They're not interested in being a loyal, devoted follower. That is not what they signed up for. They signed up for free stuff or bargain stuff. Okay. So when you are trying, so you are right. As soon as I saw that question, I was like, oh, I know where this is going, because then they're done with you and now they're going to go move on.
Yeah, we had a massive unsubscribe, right? Shortly.
Oh, it was, and that hurts your email list.
It did. I got an email from MailChimp saying, "What's wrong with you?"
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if they started blocking stuff like that, because they do block like multi-level marketing and other things like that. They have a list of things you cannot use MailChimp for, and I wouldn't be surprised if that eventually got on the list. So what are you supposed to do? How are you supposed to get these quality, loyal people? Right. Here's the answer, which is the most hated answer in the world. Patience or consistency. Yeah. And they're both hard, because I am very, very much I want it now. The microwave is too slow. Let's go. Yeah. And it is so hard for me to, I mean, I will put in the hard work. I'm not about that. It's just, I want results, mm-hmm. You know, like I want results now. And the truth of the matter is that does not happen. There is no overnight success. It takes time. So when you are trying to get your loyal people, your targeted audience, yes, you can totally do Facebook ads for lead generation. Yes, you can totally get a bunch of people to talk about your newsletter on their newsletters, on their blogs, all of that. All those things are wonderful. But you got to wait. You got to take your time. You got to invest into people and be consistent. I will tell you right now, I don't have 10,000 email subscribers, mm-hmm. and I keep my email list very curated. And so every quarter I'll go through it. And if people aren't opening my newsletters, I'll send like an email that says, are you still interested in writing and publishing a book? And that prompts them to either unsubscribe or answer me, so then I can get them back into opening my newsletters. I am more interested in having a very engaged list than I am a high subscriber, because you can have 10,000 subscribers, and if your open rate is like 5 to 10%, that is not good. That's not good. So you want to have a good open rate of like 30 to 35%. So if you're trying to get really loyal subscribers, people who are in your target audience, go where your target audience is, and then be consistent and can always provide value. So if you want to give me another genre, I might be able to give an idea of where you could go for that target audience.
Contemporary romance.
Oh, Instagram. Okay, so Instagram is just crazy. about romance and fantasy and YA, but romance is the highest selling genre anyway. So
It makes up 80% of my clientele.
right. I mean, that's going to be, yeah. So what you should do is if you're on Instagram, then that freebie where they can read the first 3 chapters, or if you have a funnel like or whatever, and they can read the first book or whatever it may be, or the short story, that should be like the epitome of your bio. Make that really crystal clear that they can read that book for free or whatever it is. Use Linktree, make it super simple, and then spend quality time learning Instagram. I have a very in-depth blog post on how to do it with how-to videos and all that fun stuff.
Yes,
but those people are already
vouch for it.
Thank you. Those people, they are looking for romance, and I've noticed if you read romance, you devour it. Like you read
They're very, very loyal fans.
Yes. And so you need to use Instagram to get more readers without a doubt. And there are tons of hashtags, reading romance, YA romance. I mean, they're all over the place. So if you're getting people following you on your Instagram account and they see that, the call to action on your profile, there's more subscribers that are right there in your target audience. You could do posts about it. But again, you need to make it a very beautiful photo. You need to give, not sell, use the right language like we did earlier. So for example, if you're doing romance and you've posted a photo of the freebie that they're going to get on your Instagram feed, and you've got these followers and they stop and they read your description, it could say something along the lines of, we're all stuck indoors right now, but my imagination can go anywhere. My imagination can go anywhere. And Christina is off to New York to meet her new boss, but things don't go as planned because Luke comes along. What? I don't know. Whatever. And give them a reason to read it, and then they will grab your freebie from the email list.
I love it. So basically the answer is go where they are, go where your target audience is. And that's really good. That's really good advice.
Yeah. And then just deliver value. This is not a get rich quick thing. This takes a lot of time and dedication and mistakes and everything in between. I think that's why a lot of people get frustrated and they quit, because they expected there to be
instant results.
Right. And like with you, and I mean, I don't mean this in a bad way at all, but it's, oh sweet, I got 600 subscribers. This is
awesome. You're right.
Yeah. And then they just start unsubscribing and you're like, well, what did I do wrong? So you didn't do anything wrong. You followed the rules, but those people aren't there to stick around.
Exactly. And that's how you learn. I learned it the hard way. That's not where I need to go be looking for my people, because that's not my people.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, I've made a million mistakes, and I think
that's how you learn.
That's good though. You have to make those mistakes with everything. And with your email list, it's great because it's like, I know not to do that again. And then I can tell other people not to do it. And
exactly.
Right.
Now that we've talked about ways to grow our list, how can we keep them subscribed and engaged? Is there a rule of thumb as to how often we should email our list?
I love this question because there are some really black and white, tried and true answers, but everyone is different and every list is different. So let me just give you a few things. Number one, stop giving me a reason to unsubscribe. Yeah. I don't know how to make this any simpler. Number one, with 1A within the unsubscribe, deliver on what you said you're going to deliver on. Don't use clickbait titles that tick everybody off. If you say something in your subject line, deliver on it. Okay. Yeah. The next point within that, what am I trying to say here? Don't do things that are going to make people think you're spamming them. Yeah. Okay. I don't really have time to get into all that, but if you're using spammy language, you can't even use the word free in the subject title. You have to say something else because it's a trigger. Yeah. Watch out for things like that. Don't be spammy. Another thing you want to watch out for, be careful of the things that you say. I'm not talking about censorship because I personally don't believe in censorship, but
Right.
I'm saying be very careful, like know your audience.
Yeah.
Okay, just know your audience. So if you've been writing clean romance for all of your life and you've been developing
This
this
is
really
going.
awesome list of clean romance readers, and one day you send them an email and you're like, I've switched to the naughty side and I'm doing
Yeah.
erotica now, you just got so many unsubscribers. So don't do that. Okay, so number one, don't give people a reason to unsubscribe. Two, treat them like a VIP because they are. They are on your email list, which is a whole lot bigger of a deal than following you on Facebook or Instagram or anything else, because as we learned from the very beginning, it's a coveted thing to have somebody's email address. So make sure that you're treating them like a VIP. What I mean by that, and I used to do it, do not, these are especially for the WordPress people because I think WordPress makes it so easy. You know how when you, like I said at the beginning, you've published a new blog post on your WordPress, and if you don't go in there and set everything up right, it'll just default and it'll just email them that
Yeah.
that is not an email newsletter. So make sure that you're not, and if you do set up an email newsletter, don't just copy and paste your latest blog post into the newsletter and call it good.
Yeah.
That doesn't count either. You need to give them things that they can't get anywhere else. Now, you can recycle that content down the road, but it needs to go to your email subscribers first. So you might have a little advice or motivational column at the very beginning, or you might, for me, I do that. And then it always differs, but I'll do like a featured blog post, or I'll do like what's popular on the blog. I'll do a book review, or someone's launching. I'll do a big thing about that, all within the same newsletter, or a roundup of my favorite articles or silly things that I enjoy. I mean, it doesn't, as long as you're giving them things that they came there for and then some, I think you're doing a really good job. Another way, 3, to keep them on that list is to do anything you can to get, not anything you can, but work really hard to get them to reply. So one of the ways that you can do that is by asking them a question. Anything that, and it's not as simple as, toward the end of your little advice column, you say like, how have you been? Hope you've been well. Reply back. Give them something that they could reply back with.
Question, something that
I've asked all sorts of fun stuff. I've asked them to tell me about their favorite animals or something, because I did a post about animals, or I've asked them to tell me like what has been your number one struggle with finishing your book. Or your number one distraction, anything that could prompt them to reply, because that's only going to do good things for your email list. MailChimp sees that, oh wow, she's getting reply. That's good. Gmail loves it. That's all good stuff. So do things to get them to engage. And sometimes it isn't even about a question. It's about just delivering such awesome content that they can't help but reply back. Like I did one not too long ago that was all about positive. I think the subject line was, I promise I'm going to make you smile. And that was my whole goal, is I just wanted to put a smile on their face. And I told a funny story about the stupid possum in my backyard. I talked about my dogs. I talked about all this stuff. And I got so many replies, because it was definitely at the height of COVID-19 and people were pulling out their hair, and
they needed that connection and that
I had so many replies that I actually created a new folder in my email called newsletter replies, so that I could go through them all. And that was really cool to know that, sometimes it's not about educating everybody on self-publishing. Sometimes it's about just making them smile and bringing them some positivity in their day. So you will know what your email list prefers and what they engage to and what they love and what they don't like over time. I have learned that my subscribers do not like courses. Go figure, but they don't. Like, I have tried, and they just don't like it when I recommend courses. And so I really had to pull back on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's just
You
me.
learn.
It doesn't mean it's like that for everybody else. So those are just, 3 tips that you could do to keep them on there. Put yourself in their shoes. What makes you unsubscribe? And I'm not talking about like your retail stores. I'm talking about if you are subscribed to an author's email list, what have they done in the past that makes you immediately unsubscribe? What do they do currently that after all this time has kept you on their
Still
list?
there. That's a good point. Yeah.
What do they do that makes you stick around? Like, I know for me, I'm trying to think of somebody off the top of my head, like, Mixtus Media. I've stayed on her list since the very beginning. And the thing is, her email newsletter is actually very simple.
Yeah.
But her tips for marketing and all that are so awesome that I'm always grabbing them.
Yeah.
Jane Friedman, I'm a subscriber to the Hot Sheet, which is a paid subscription, but she has a free email newsletter. And I love it. I've always loved it because she gives like 5 things that she's totally geeking out about and really enjoying. It's not meant to be, it's totally different from the Hot Sheet. It's like, here's these really cool things I'm nerding out about. And then I think they're really cool. And then she'll give you, here's where I'm speaking next, or here's what's popular on the blog. And I love that. I'm always going to stay subscribed to that. So if some of you need to go and subscribe to every single newsletter or like every author's newsletter that you really, really enjoy, the authors you really love, and do some market research.
Great.
And figure out what are they doing as a sci-fi novelist in their newsletter that I am gaga crazy about, and what are they doing that makes me, trip over myself to get to the unsubscribe button? What are those things? Now, implement or don't implement those things with your newsletter.
Yeah, I love it. That is great advice. I hadn't even thought. I know I've got a few people that like you said, that I follow that are in the business industry, the business niche and online marketing. And as much as that I get emails from them, I still never unsubscribe because they're bringing me value every single time.
Yeah, there's lists I've been on for years that still have, like, some of them I've changed over time, but they still have my
old email.
Yeah, my old email
or
address.
Hotmail or something.
Well, the Gmail one from like 2013 that I started. So because I've been on there for that long, and they've never really failed me. And it's sad, and I've talked about it before, but there have been some New York Times best-selling authors who I'm talking like were and still are humongous voices in the publishing industry. And then they started getting on this bandwagon in, like, I want to say 2015, 2016, where it was just sell, send you 5 emails a day. And I was like, how dare you?
Yeah, it doesn't hurt anybody.
Everybody, how awesome you were. And like, I don't want anything to do with you now because of how you're treating me as a subscriber. And it would shock you what some of the names are, and I'm not going to say them on here.
Right, of course, but I know what you mean.
Because you see other people doing it, and you're like, well, they're selling constantly. I don't care what they're doing. You don't have to be there.
It's not working.
No, it's really not.
As far as keeping those people engaged, it's not working.
No, it's not, and it's ticking them off.
Yeah. So let's talk about the substance of these emails. As I kind of briefly said earlier, I usually tell my clients when they're asking me similar stuff to do about 80-20. 80% of their time should be spent nurturing their audience, and then maybe 20% on selling. Am I giving them the right advice? Is that
I definitely think so. But I mean, the 80-20, yeah, absolutely, totally. And when you are selling, and I think this is very important, it shouldn't feel like selling.
Yeah, that's true.
And that is a very hard thing for authors, because like most authors are not salespeople.
Right.
The only reason that I have a background in sales in any way is because my dad is a salesman. He owns his own furniture company. I've been around it my whole life. Like, literally, when I was a little kid, I was the only one at school who knew how to make paper airplanes. And so I would sell them for $0.25 each to everybody and make them in bulk. So, like, I've had this background in it, but I've learned that you aren't really trying to sell to them. the language that you use shouldn't make me feel like you are selling to me. And like a really, really good marketer will pick up on that. But when you're trying to, like, give me something, like, for example, Christina, that you personally would like to sell in your email newsletter, if you have anything.
Well, really, I'm just trying to sell for me personally, you mean?
Sure, yeah.
Just my coaching services.
Okay, so what you can do that won't even feel like selling, let's say that you've already had somebody that you've coached and it worked out really well. She could write a testimonial for you, okay? And in your email newsletter toward the bottom or wherever, you could copy and paste that testimonial, or if it's really, really long, you could use portions of it. And, you know, you could say, thank you so much to Jane Doe for this amazing testimonial. She came to me with problem, and I came up with this idea to do solution, and here's the result. You know, show me how you helped her by using her own words. And it will feel a little bit like you're promoting, so you're gonna have to, like, yourself, so you're gonna have to kind of
as blatant and in your face.
No, it's not. You're gonna have to tweak it a little bit to get it to where you want it.
Right.
So if you're doing like the coaching services, it's for writing your best book, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So write their best book.
Right. So you could use a testimonial from somebody and say her goal was not to write a book, it was to write her best book. And at first she didn't know she could accomplish this, but here's a sneak peek at the plan that I created for her and how we executed it.
That would work great. We have some pretty successful authors on our rosters.
And you need to use that. Let them promote you.
That's great.
And then say, always give a call to action and say, if you'd like to book a consult or if you'd like to get started, you know, fill out the form or whatever. But use some prettier language of that. You know, I like to say, for me personally, and what I do, I like to say, if you want to hold your book in your hands for the first time.
Oh, I like that.
Because my background is in, like, I am all about first time authors. I like to coach them, like, on how to get to that point.
Right.
Holding the book in their hands. So for you, you got to figure out that language.
That's good. I like that. That's very helpful. Okay, we've got time for one more quick question, and I want to ask you about what maybe the most important part is. What are some ways that we can come up with that content to send our subscribers, short of hiring a copywriter and having them write it for us? Do you have any resources you can share with us as far as trying to come up with content for these newsletters?
Yeah, I do. Authenticity. I know that it can feel, I think for me it's easier because it's just me. But if you own a company, it's not just you, it's other people involved. So for you, Christina, is it just you or are there other people on board?
I have a team.
Okay, so you know what would be really cool for you, for your newsletter, as far as content, because authenticity has to be at the foundation of everything, right? So to keep things authentic, like what you'll see a lot of business emails do is it'll be all in like third person, and it'll be, you know, you don't really know who technically is the one that, you know, it might say at the bottom, like the owner's name or something. And I'm not against that, but I am for thinking outside of the box. And so for you guys, what might be really amazing is if you had each little block in the email newsletter for each team member, or, you know, 3 team members per week, and you rotate them. So it could start with like Christina's corner, and then you can give your advice for the day or whatever. And then like, who's another team member? What do they do?
I have Nicole Tuxbury. She's my marketing and branding officer.
Right. So for Nicole, you could have, you know, whatever, Nicole's niche, marketing, Nicole's niche, or niche, however you want to pronounce it.
Yeah, I know. It's niche.
Social media, Nicole's niche, videos, and then she gives a tip on videos for just that one day.
I love it.
And then who's another team member you have?
Chantel is my executive assistant.
And what does she do?
She does, what doesn't she do? Love her heart, she does it all. She does a lot with the newsletters. And she maintains my Facebook group. So those are 2 big things she does.
And what was her name?
Chantel.
Chantel. Okay, so you could do like Chantel's shares or something. I don't know. I like alliteration.
Yeah, no, you
But
did.
she could share like 3 things that she's found for you guys this week, like her favorite articles or her favorite podcast or her favorite whatever. It's and I like that. As a reader, I'm putting myself in there as a reader. I like seeing the authenticity and the tone of Christina and Chantel and Nicole better than I do this third person like boilerplate thing. That's me as a reader, but that might not work for you guys. But I'm just saying,
I think it would. It's a good idea.
Try to think outside the box, because I would much rather read that than I would just, like, here's the company email, here's what's going on. Like, give me some cool idea. Treat me like a VIP. Tell me stuff that you're not going to tell everybody else, because then I trust you. And I'm like, these people know what they're talking about. And I am ready to write my best book. So I'm hitting the reply button right now because I trust them.
That's great. And, what about if
you can put your little photos in the email, like Christina's Corner, you could put it there so that we have a face.
Yeah.
The tone, the name, the content. So when you're trying to come up with content ideas, here's the thing: you already have a ton of content. It's just that
we do.
You might need to structure it a little differently and let other people. And I would do it like weekly or bi-weekly.
Okay.
I'm lucky if I can get 2 newsletters out a month, because life is life. But I know that if you do it too much, you drive them crazy. If you do it too little, they forget who you are. So you have to find that balance.
Yeah.
And I love what the last blog post that I just talked about on here, the 7 ways to be consistent with a weekly email newsletter, that was done by MC Starbuck. And holy cow, like, I still haven't got to sit down and do it yet, because I already know what's going to happen. I'm going to spend hours on this because I think it's so cool. But she comes up with this idea, like, give your email list a name, because like Tim Ferriss does 5 Bullet Fridays. And so she wanted her emails to be called Fun and Fabulous Fridays. So she gives you a book recommendation, a link to an article on simplicity, because that's what she does. And then like a short story about what she's learning. And she does that every week. So so people expect it. They know that it's Fun and Fabulous Friday.
I love that.
So I'm going to do her tips as soon as I can, but
I need to reread that article because I skimmed it, but I need to reread that.
It's awesome. I love her ideas. Love them.
So let's do one last thing. So just to help my listeners a little bit, let's say I am a romance author. Sure. How am I going to get some content? Where can I find some ideas on content as an author?
So where can you find ideas as a romance author for your email?
For content, or what are some suggestions? Just 1 or 2 little.
First, market research, like we said earlier. So go subscribe to your favorite romance authors' newsletters and get some. Do not copy them, but get some ideas of what they're doing.
Don't copy them.
Right. And then secondly, it depends on, what goes into that genre. So let's say if you're doing romantic suspense is a really, really big genre.
Yes.
Let's say that you're doing
bad boy romances and things.
Yeah, let's say that you're doing that. I would love your email newsletter to give me a character sketch on your bad boy or your whatever, the boyfriend, the husband, whatever. Like, how did you come up with him and what inspired him? One of the coolest things I saw a romance author do, she's actually my author, her name's S.C. Hendrickson. Her second novel was called Waiting for Wyatt. And so she had this thing that kind of showed on the cover, it's in my other room, but on the cover it shows kind of, what you would think he would look like. But she says, who do you think, after reading the book, who do you think Wyatt most represents? And then like tons of people jumped on that post and say, oh, I think he's just like so-and-so. I think he's like this celebrity. I always said he reminded me of Dallas from The Outsiders, which is who she kind of mimicked him after. And so you could do a little portion like that in your newsletter, who does so-and-so remind you of? You could do a thing where you have them name your next character for you. I'm coming up. Okay, so this guy, he lives in LA and he's an artist, but, he's on the run and he falls in love with my protagonist, but I need a name. And here are the 3 that I've picked so far. Vote. Like, will you reply back and tell me which one you like the most? You just got them to engage. You got them to reply. You got them to have some fun. That's a great thing you can do. Whatever research you've done for your romance novel, because surely you've done some research on the setting or on whatever job the characters have. Surely, hopefully you did. Put that in there. I think research is so interesting. I'm literally researching secret societies right now. And when I put that in an email newsletter, I think that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
So don't take for granted this notion that, well, I'm the only one who thinks it's interesting. They won't care about that. Trust me, we are easy to entertain. Okay. So give it a try. Put those things in there. Another thing that you could do is tell us that your favorite romance novels that you're reading right now. That always works out really well. People are always looking for good reads. As far as anything else I can think of off the top of my head, you could also do like your favorite rom-com movies, here's what I'm watching on Netflix this week, and give them something to watch. It doesn't always have to be about your book.
Yeah.
It can be about your life and your passions and your interests and hobbies, as it should be. I think that's what so many people miss. They feel like I have to talk about my book the whole time in the email newsletter. No, you don't. And please don't do that.
And please don't. Yeah.
Talk about other things. So that's just off the top of my head.
Oh, that's great. Honey, you do so much better off the top of your head than I do. You're doing a great
I can't plan anything I can, but I mean for interviews and anything of that nature. Nope. Whatever's there in the brain at that time.
Well, it's done well, and this has been a really, really great podcast episode. I've really enjoyed talking with you. So we're going to go ahead and sign off now, but thank you so much for joining us, and you've brought so much inspiration and insight into this podcast episode, so I thank you for that.
Thank you for having me, and I think it's awesome what you guys are doing, and I love the notion of write your best book, because as you know, I'm all about high quality, and I love that is part of your mantra as well. So I hope that these tricks
help. Your best book. Yes, thank you so much. All right, Shayla, we'll see you soon.
Okay, thanks so much for having me.
That was one of my absolute favorite episodes. And isn't Shayla just one of the coolest chicks ever? Hopefully, you'll take our advice and start building your newsletter now. You don't have to wait until your book is out. In fact, you shouldn't wait that long. You should start on your email list right now, so it's nice and built up by the time your book comes out. Then focus on growing and nurturing, as we discussed with Shayla. Now, before we go, I want to ask you to hit that like button if you've watched this episode and you love what Shayla and I had to share with you. Just hit that like button really quickly and hit that little subscribe button down in the corner too, so that you don't miss any of the upcoming podcast episodes that are chock full of some of the biggest experts in the industry and some big influencers, including Derek Murphy, Jane Friedman, Joanna Penn, and many, many more to come. So hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode, and check out our other playlist, which is nothing but a bunch of how to blank writing tips. All right, so that's all the time we have for today, folks. As always, it's been a blast. If you've enjoyed this episode, do me a favor and, as I said, like it, subscribe, leave an honest review in the comments. I just might choose your review or your question to answer on air at the beginning of another episode. And don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss any amazing episodes. Trust me, there's more where this came from, and I have a ton more great stuff lined up for you. Talk soon, and in the meantime, go write your best book.